Good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you are watching from. Welcome to Grant Talks Funny Bits. And yeah, hopefully we should see you guys jumping on in the comment section in a minute and let me know if you can hear me fine. I'm going to quickly jump on my phone to see if I can hear me, because I know sometimes we do have some technical issues. I can hear me. That is all good. We are good to go. So there we go. Natasha Stanley wins the first comment again. Her crown is well and truly safe this week. Natasha Stanley, all good. Richard Cole, hey friends, sounds good. Here's the thing, guys. This is an unusual phenomenon. I don't want to jinx it, but we've got sound, we've got video, and by the looks of it, we've got our guest as well in the backstage area, which this week we nearly didn't because I sent him a completely different link. But he is here and he is fine. Karen Louise is here, can hear you. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Karen. So yes, we have had hypnotists from all over the world. We have lots of American hypnotists on. We've had some great Canadian hypnotists on despite their really dodgy internet. And today we have a British hypnotist from down south in the United Kingdom. So please, I'm going to play this graphic, and on the other side of that, we will welcome Kris Anthony. Hang on. He's going to appear this side. Nope, this side. There he is.
Hey,
Kris, how are you?
Got there. Absolutely fine. How are you?
I'm okay, just about. It's a bit grim up north now. The autumn weather is really drawing in, so it's damp, cold, and wet up here. Natasha Stanley says, "Hi, Kris."
Hi, Natasha.
Fantastic. So, Kris, stage hypnosis in the UK, probably one of the toughest markets around. Work in the UK versus work in America is slightly different. What's your experience? You were massive in the 90s. You're still a very popular stage hypnotist these days. Tell us about the beginning. What first got you interested in hypnosis? What was your first experience of it?
Okay. I don't know if this was the case with many other. I think let me just turn my microphone down just a little bit. Okay. In the 90s, I was working as a mentalist. Went to Ibiza on holiday with my son and good old mum. And at the hotel, they had a stage hypnotist. Now, I knew a little bit about it, and I thought, it's that good old thing where I am too headstrong. Ha ha ha. Don't we just love hearing that? So I went up there and I thought, okay, volunteer, went up there. Yeah, I'll follow what he says. And bang, before you knew it, I was doing the usual horse race, car race, sergeant major. Yes, it was the A to Z. And I do remember it quite clearly. Come away from it thinking, what the... So I just bought a book and another book and another book. And as we went further into the late 90s, more and more material was coming available. And I've just spent money through then. I started doing basic shows. I sort of did one and sort of run away for a few months. Thought, my God, that was okay, but really scary. Went back to it and then got into the rhythm of doing it. I was just doing friends' parties and stuff like that. Then did a website. And it just went on from there. Back then, there were not too many hypnotists around. And yeah, it was great. I was out probably on average twice a week. It was kind of sort of 7-8 times within a month, depending. It's always the Saturday night, probably Saturday, the Friday, or Saturday and a Tuesday. You might, if you're lucky, get a Saturday off, and you know the typical situation. But just landed up from there, spending way too much on training because of if I learn anything, I get a little bit anal about it as such. And did hypnotherapy courses to try and learn more and more hypnotherapy courses, and went on an actual stage hypnosis course with a weekend course in London just to see if I'm doing anything wrong or missed anything. And God, it's about 13 grand later. I stopped paying more money for training. Jesus. Look back and think that could have been...
The training gives us that. It gives us that safe environment. And even though I love training, you know, and everybody should do more of it, etc. But there's that false economy within a training room where people are doing stuff and everything's miraculous. You just think about something and somebody goes into trance and it's amazing. And then you get to the dog and gun working men's club, and then you try and do the same, and then they scream at you. And it doesn't quite work the same. So I do think training can be quite addictive. And because when it doesn't go right on stage, you know, it's a very public thing. So we do want to make sure we've kind of got everything perfect. But yeah, you can you can get stuck on that training roller coaster as such. So yeah. You said you're a mentalist that went out to Ibiza. Do you think having that kind of magic background, that mentalism background, is what helped you become successful as a stage hypnotist?
Yes, it would have helped because I think for somebody that was, never done any kind of stage work before or working with people, and if you've got to learn a new craft, the problem is you've got to implement that new craft and be aware and okay in front of people. Now, some people can, I think, naturally, how can we put it, cope with that fine. Some people can excel with it. Some people, if you're nervous in front of people, then everything you've learned can completely go out the window
Yeah.
if nerves kick in, and it's like, and if nerves does kick in, and the first few shows, it was a little bit harrowing because of, you did sort of ABC and, CDE didn't work. And so
Yeah.
sort of like improvised. And we've all been there where we landed up having just a couple of people because of their, it was just an event where you had 50 people and not many people volunteered and you had to force them up. Oh my God. Yes, it's quite a harrowing experience. And just going back to the point you made that, yeah, being able to work with people and having been in front of people definitely helped because if I was nervous at the same time going in front of people and trying to do the hypnosis that was, I was about to say failing, but not going quite as planned or as smooth as it could do, then I can imagine that would have been even worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Richard Cole's just put there. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that nothing but good subjects during your training. It's usually a good place to start, but not usually the reality. I think with any type of performance or any type of craft in any way, shape, or form, when you first learn, it's all the big chunks of information that you get. Then as you go on, it's about fine tuning and honing that along the way. So you talk then about, and it's always nice to hear true stories about stage hypnosis because hypnotists, we all have egos and we all talk about how fantastic things are all the time. But the reality is like you said, sometimes you're doing a party where you've got two subjects on stage, and no matter what you do, that's you deal with the hand that you've got. And
Yes.
they're the ones that prepare you for the good shows. So tell us about your first show and how that went.
Well, luckily it was, and this is what the first sort of couple were. It was friends of friends kind of thing, and knew a lot of the people there. Not that they were faking it and helping you. It was just a good one. It was a fancy dress party. There was lots of alcohol around, but not too much alcohol that they
Yeah,
weren't going along following what you were saying. There was, I found this out afterwards. One of the volunteers was he was a policeman, but he was into amateur dramatics, and so that come through when we had him in the right state of mind, and he was
yeah,
great, and he was the star, of course. Um, the first two were fine, and they were what I would call gimmies because you knew a little bit, about everybody. Knew a few people there, which was great. And then it's on the third one that's when it got a little bit more difficult.
tell us about that.
Um, it was a Jewish wedding reception. It wasn't directly after the wedding. It was like a delayed one. I think they got married abroad or something. They come back and it was like a celebration. But it was in Golders Green, and it was how many people? Let's say 45 people. And then it was a case of we did some mentalism beforehand, which I like doing because it would bring the rapport with everybody that would be doing, working within the show. But when it got to the point of saying, okay, down to the hard line here, volunteers, please make your way up to this stage area. Now, there wasn't a stampede, there was nobody.
Yeah,
And then it's that usual thing you have to kind of, without dragging them up there kicking and screaming, because those kind of people, as you're well aware, are no good, non
yeah,
cooperative. And what's the old saying? Was it 100? One volunteer is better than 100 pressed men. Well,
yeah,
we got people up there, started using the usual kind of thing that, come on, have a think about it. It's completely safe. Without you guys tonight, there would be no show. Got a few things, we got them up, and we got something from it. But that's the kind of, that was the third one. I come away from that, and it was, oh my God, never doing it again. That's it. No, 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 no. But then, having spoken to quite a few other stage hypnotists over the years, that's like a process and a thought which a lot of us have been through at some point.
yeah,
You come away, you've got the long drive back after
yeah.
wherever it was in the country. I'm never doing it again. No, no, no. Oh, that was awful. But the funny thing is that, and it's happened so many times, is that you've come away from a gig and you've thought, oh God, that's bloody awful, whatever. and then they've given you an email or called you the next day, or you got a text, and my God, that was the greatest thing last night. Oh, it was so funny. The reports back were so great, and you're just like, really?
Yeah.
So then, okay, that's not what would make me go back, because reality would kick in and you think, actually, it wasn't that bad. But at the time, there had been better. So as far as that was a good one, that was a fantastic one. When it's these ones, it does give you a little bit of a knock. And
Yeah.
I do understand when people say that, oh, I gave it a go, had a couple of bad ones and just could never do it again. I do understand, but you have to get yourself back on there, brush yourself down,
Yeah.
and yeah, it is a hard job. It's not the easy. Okay, it's not hard, but it's not hard, but it's not the easiest. Definitely.
When it's good, it's the best job in the world. When
Yes.
it's challenging, it's the most challenging in the world. It's good to have that support network. I have a couple of hypnotists that if I have a bad show, I'm straight on the phone to them and I'm dissecting the show. So you know what you could have done better, but you know what the audience
Yes.
could have done as well. But I think as with anything, because we put ourselves out there, a comedian can just still keep telling jokes whether the audience is interested or not. We put ourselves out there, and if the volunteers don't want to volunteer, it's always going to be a challenge. And I think a lot of guys, when they first get
Absolutely.
into this, they do the training, their confidence is up here. They do 2 or 3 shows, the confidence is up here, and then that bad show hits them, and then
Kick to
another
the
bad
balls,
show
and
hits them.
that's it. No more.
Exactly, and
It's one. I just think it's one of the few forms of entertainment where you are actually reliant to a certain degree on the other people. It's like, God, if you're a band at a wedding or if you're a DJ, okay, it's going to help that if people, I guess, are going to come up on the dance floor and dance to the music that you're either playing or within a band, and you're doing your stuff. Okay, one person, 101 doesn't make that much of a difference. But
yeah,
if you haven't got people in the right mood, in the right this, or there's not enough of them, or they're just, I mean, you can have 400 people and they could just be the wrong kind of people. Um,
exactly.
I've
And
had
it's sometimes people book us
450
because
farmers before.
yeah, young farmers are
A farmer convention, and unfortunately, it wasn't a young one neither.
I know the young farmers are a bit. I think that's like the American kind of spring break. Young farmers are just nuts. They're crazy events, if you know what I mean.
Oh
So
yeah, no,
Jason
these were the older
Simmons,
ones,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Jason Simmons says sounds like a bit like my last show. Do you revert to mentalism if you're in that scenario?
Ah, yes. Now, okay, no, actually, I'm going to say no, but if I had to, I would do, and that is what is in my contract.
Yeah. Ah,
If, in the unlikely event that it goes wrong, or nobody volunteers, in the extreme case that this doesn't happen, blah blah blah, it will revert to a Derren Brown kind of show, XYZ.
brilliant. It makes lots of sense. I've always
Uh,
said I appreciate magic, but I don't do magic.
yeah,
And
I'm terrible.
there's times into a show when you kind of think, oh God, I just wish I knew something now, like a mind reading trick I could use now. And I've had to persevere through that. So, but yeah, I think having that magic background, that mentalism background, it teaches you about having outs and having some pattern and taking it in different directions. So that's definitely a plus. Tell us about some of your highlights. I know you've done some stuff for some celebrities. I remember seeing years ago, and it was a great picture. I think it was at a festival, some Swedish female pop star with some
Oh,
glitter on her body. That looked
Tovlo.
like an interesting show.
That's Sweden's biggest pop star. I got chose to do that show. It was her cousin's birthday party in London, because I used to live in Sweden, so I could speak Swedish. They got me on that basis.
Nice.
I didn't know it actually was Tovlo's cousin. So I turned up there, and by chance, her CD was in my car as of turning up to the gig. I
Wow.
was there with my ex. We went up there, I was doing a bit of mentalism firsthand. And then I was looking around, I was like, no way. It was on the top of one of the beautiful hotels in London. I just thought, no, it can't be, no way. I was like, my God, it is. Of course, went running over there. She's nothing to look at, but she was a fun person. She was good,
Brilliant.
really nice. But a little bit, I mean, I've met some big celebrities, whatever, but this one was special for me because I like her music. Not because I fancy her, but her music is
Yeah.
good. So, or first album
Fantastic.
anyway. So I was really, really smitten with that one. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done the usual things. I've done bit Hollywood celebs when I've done a lot of London gigs and whatever, and corporate stuff. And but one of the string of shows which I found and always will always stick with me as the funniest, and I still say it's the highlight, because they were just so good. And that was down in Caerleon, the Caerleon campus in down in Cardiff, the university. That the campus is there no more, which is a shame. And there was a big thing trying to get the place not knocked down because it was listed, all the rest of it. Beautiful campus, but it went after many people trying to stop it happening. Went down there, and I landed up there 6 years on the row.
Nice.
But I got slated a lot for this one, and for the fact by people from all sorts of directions, because the show was very, what's the best word of putting it? Harsh. Okay, rude.
Yeah.
But I work ethically. I'm not a bad person. I take it and work in a professional way. I make sure, and this is the key thing, I make sure that the way I perform and the skits which I do is as per their request.
Yes.
Double, triple checked it, triple checked, and the audience will know in advance that this kind of thing will be happening. So do consider that when volunteering for the show.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I had to take the videos down because there were so many people going up in arms, and it got hundreds. It was something like 200,000 views really quickly.
Yes.
All the rest of it, and it was, I'm thick-skinned, but this was just like coming from all sorts of angles, and I even had issues with my family over in Germany saying, "Oh my God, get this down! You put this next to the family name." Would off.
Yeah,
got a lot of bookings from it.
I remember, yeah, exactly. I remember the videos, and I remember the fallout from it, and it's kind of like, it's difficult to judge things from the past by today's standards as well. If you know what I mean. I know in comedy we're getting a lot of this now. How comedy from back in the day versus how it is now, and it is when you book for an adult show, you booked for an adult show, and it is what the client wants. I personally don't do adult material, but it still doesn't mean that it's not actually hysterical. And some of the stuff that I've seen of yours is hysterical. So like you said, when it's done right and done in an ethical way, that's the thing. But people see a small snippet of something and impose their own values on there. I do a thing that I don't do it anymore because I got shot down for it. But I had I think the Americans call them heavyset person volunteer, and they were laid on the floor, and I did not put my foot on them. But it was around about the time of the whole Cecil the Lion thing, the whole trophy hunting on social media, when everyone's going nuts for it. So I took a pose where it looked like I had my foot on this large person's stomach, posed as a trophy hunter.
Oh dear!
That caused a bit of stir. So yeah, I kept it up though. It's sometimes you find that those people running around causing the drama about those things end up being your best marketing that you can have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of bookings I got from it, my God, it went through the roof.
Exactly.
But the key thing with it, and I stand by this, and this is the defining factor whether I do it or not, is that everybody there had a great time. There was no damage.
Yeah.
The stars of the show are landed up on my Facebook or on my Facebook now, and every birthday we wish each other and our happy birthday, and I'll put a funny little comment there. 8 years ago, whatever. Everyone had a good time. Loads of people there. The second year I was there, because I went sort of quite risque with the first one. On the back of that, I got the second one. And the second one, because of the first one was so good and risque, there was 840 people there. It was a great show, and lovely, lovely people down in this Welsh area. It was just great, but God, the fallout from it was about as harsh as I could have been.
Yeah,
that was 10 years ago. Anyway, but no, it's. I just stand by the fact that as long as it's what they booked, and as long as they realise that kind of content could almost more than likely going to take place, and I make sure the key thing afterwards that everything is okay with them, that there is no upset, there is absolutely nothing. I mean, I hang around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure if there's anything whatsoever, any form of abreaction, if there's everything is dealt with accordingly. So they've had a good time, no problem calls, everybody's fine afterwards, apart from people that don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Job done as far as I'm concerned. This shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Well, if for any Americans or people from outside of the UK watching this, I think it's part of the Hypnotism Act here in the UK that we do have to stay around for a certain amount of time after a show, just in case there is any abreactions or anything like that, which is good common sense, good practice anyway. And I also find that time after a show is a great time. You touched on a great marketing point there. That's something that I try and do. And that's, I always like to make sure the stars of the show become my friends on Facebook. So exactly what you said, every year that birthday comes around, you can post that picture from the show. And like you said, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and it keeps you front of mind with them and their friends for when anybody wants to book a hypnotist again. So it's always good to, you know, leave them feeling good and keep reminding them of that every birthday.
Yeah. Everyone was happy. Job done.
Yeah,
And it was great.
absolutely.
And I was there every single year. And if it wasn't for the fact that the campus actually closed, I would have been there. I don't know why this volume keeps shooting up. I would have been back there, I think, for forever. It was
Yeah,
great. It was 6 years, and then it was, but one of them did a Christmas special. But no, it was 6 years. A good run. It was a good
yeah.
run.
I found kind of freshers and university shows have changed a lot now, even more so in the last 3 years. You know, it's becoming harder and harder of what they deem is appropriate entertainment, and hypnotists are being pushed further and further out of that boundary, unfortunately. Which, yeah, it's there's one university I work with where I have to sign up to certain things that I will not say, will not do, or will not imply. And it gets to the point where it's like, these are things we've naturally been saying for years, but that's the world we live in now. So hopefully it's for the better. Who knows? So yeah. So we talked about those early shows, but what's the most challenging show you've ever had, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, good question. I'm not going to say, this has jumped up again. I'm not going to say whatsoever that, oh no, I've never had a challenging one, or because if a hypnotist is honest, and the majority I've spoken to are honest, it's happened at some point where you've had, the range of volunteers, and you start losing them as you go through the induction, or as the level of the comedy goes up and it collides with their beliefs and all the
Yeah,
rest of it. And then it starts going down to 4, 3, 2. Whoa! At that point, you really do rein in. Well, as far as I do, I rein in the anchors,
yeah,
and then really do make it a personal thing with what they do in front of everybody. Now, I'm just trying to think of one where that has happened. Only because you brought up early days and the one that was in Golders Green, the Jewish one, because that was very difficult. Um, come back to that one, Grant. There
yeah.
is.
I mean, I know I've had shows. You said it's quite interesting how you kind of make it more personal. I know when you get to that point where you look like you're going to lose your volunteers, you know, it is about spotting it at that moment and moving it round and changing the angle of the show. I recently did a double header show. It was kind of one for the customers and then one for all the staff after the show once the customers had left. And that was, you know, the first show was a comedy hypnosis show. The second show was very different because they were all very close knit. They were all friends that know each other, and they were all at work and didn't want to look silly in front of their management. And so that show quickly went from being a comedy show to more personal, more about feeling good and less about being outrageous, if you know what I mean. And it's about being fluid with that as it goes along. Because if I'd have pushed forward for the outrageousness, I'd have lost the volunteers. But instead, just give them something else, just reined it back in a little bit.
I've got an
Um,
example now. I do
go on.
recall one. It was a military one, and the problem is, and I can only guess we all fall into this trap at some point. When you get booked for a military one, you think, well, I'm just going to be black and white with this. Gimme.
Yeah,
Like uni ones usually are.
yeah,
Anything military is usually a gimme,
yeah,
apart from this one. Turned up, it was all the usual, the numbers. The first thing, when I said to you arrived, set up, the first thing that I didn't like, and I was like, okay, is that there was a night of entertainment and I was first, which, as far
right,
as you're concerned, as much as it doesn't always land up that way, but in a perfect world, you're not the first one to be up. It's not good having everybody cold. And because of, cut a long story short, with the way they had the structure, I had to go first because of the way that you had karaoke there and the way that if I was to go after I performed, it's like we had different rows of PA systems with
Yeah.
the people behind, and they did it, and that one went. Then you had that leaving the next one exposed, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I would have been there all night, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it was daylight, not a big problem with that because you could do outdoor shows, but everyone was fresh, just come in from doing something. It's as if, oh, we need to get it started now. And you sort of like got sort of 15 people in there and people just coming through to the door, going up to the bar. It- Oh, yeah, we need some volunteers now. We've got to get the show going because of in, 50 minutes time, you've got, X, Y, Z afterwards. Having to pull people to volunteer as they were coming through the door. But it was it was a summer evening, and they wanted to get a drink first,
Yeah.
or sit down, have a drink, relax, and then probably volunteer. But you were pulling them in fresh. And that combined with there weren't many people, and certainly at that point, being the first and everything else. And that's probably the reasons why, but it was hard. It was resistance with everything from the go. There was cooperation, lack of from the word go.
Yeah.
Sort of like I'll always do the hand clasp beforehand. And it was the case. It's the first thing I look for when I do the hand clasp is I say to them, okay, look at your hands now, focus on the end of your fingers, but they're looking at you. No, no, at your fingers. No, 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 over there at your hand, at the end of your hands. Yep, it was all everyone was all over the place.
Yeah.
Probably had about 8 volunteers or something, but they were forced up. And it was just non-cooperation from the word go. And that to me makes a very bad evening when you expect it to be good and it lands up being real hard work.
Yeah.
The good ones, going back to the ones that are highlights, are ones that certainly I have found enjoyable in the past, of when I've thought, my God, it's going to be disastrous. I remember it was a Valentine's night. It landed up being on a Thursday night. This gig was booked and there was 22 people there. We were doing some mentalism beforehand. And it was just like, oh, okay, 22. That's one of the best ones I ever did. 22 great people,
Yeah.
22 lovely people that had an absolute fantastic time with the mentalism, with the hypnosis after. And it's right up there. They were just great. They were just lovely people. It was just cooperation. It was really funny.
And it's really nice when you can work a crowd in such an intimate environment as well. Like you said, it's people see the whites of the eyes of the volunteers. They're in and amongst it. And it's brilliant.
But I hate it when you think, we're human, we're going to make these wrong decisions. But when you think you've got a gimme there and it lands up being hard work, it's like, oh, wasn't expecting this tonight. But it's a trap. I haven't done it for a while, and I haven't had since that one a bad military do. And I think it's only been one that's been the case, but there has been one, and that was really difficult. It was just,
Yeah.
I think the fact that people were just cold and we were trying to get volunteers before they could actually go to the bar. And
Yeah.
it was actually, so therefore, what was being created was an inconvenience to the people coming up. Come on,
Yeah.
we need some people up. Come on, come on. No, don't go to the bar. Come over now. We need some volunteers for the show. But it's all I could do.
Yeah.
It's all I could do. And I had to work with them. And it's just resistance. And yeah,
Yeah. And
forget that one.
it is that importance of knowing what we need to do a good show. And I do it sometimes. I can be quite laid back, and quite fluid and easygoing and this and other. But as years have gone on, I've become more and more of a diva, because you know that if that's not right and that's not right, then it is going to knock on and knock on. But yeah, like you said, sometimes when you expect a gimme and it's not, it takes the carpet from right underneath your feet. And other times you
Absolutely.
turn up expecting it to be hard work and you can have some of the best nights. I remember turning up at a venue once and I thought it was coming up to Christmas and I thought they still had all the Halloween decorations in the windows. It was only when I got closer to the venue that I realized that every single window was just cracked and shattered. And I was like, "Oh no!" And I remember literally being at the
This looks
door
encouraging.
thinking,
God.
"Once I go in, I've got to do the show, but I don't have to go in." But I went in, and it ended up being a great night. So sometimes you can do really posh jobs that are not great, and you can do really rough jobs that are absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's good
Yeah,
fun.
it's like that Tovlo one. Things are coming back now. That was actually a hard gig. The
Mm,
mentalism, the mentalism was absolutely great on top of whichever hotel in London it was in the middle of summer. But we then went down to do the stage hypnotism. And it's quite a few people, but I don't know what it was, some kind of photographic filming building, and it was huge and it was acoustically awful.
yeah,
The sound system, there was even before I started, there was a chap doing some presentations, and even the chap doing basic presentations was like, "I know you can't hear me very well, can you?" And people, were, "No, no, no, no." It was just echoing. It was just bouncing
yeah.
everywhere. Bearing
Do
in
you know what
mind what
that's?
we do is based on communication.
Yeah.
It was a problem.
That sound like a marble floor, marble walls, where the sound can reflect off everything and come back. That noise, I think, is so bad for the people to be hypnotized
Yeah.
because it's just not clear. They're hearing it from you, then bouncing off the walls, bouncing off the ceiling, and it is all very echoey and blurry. So I think sound is such an important part for putting people in that state. If you've got a good monitor, if you've got good sound of the right levels, it makes it so much easier than if you've got to shout or they've got to try and hear you. Like you said, it's about communication. The clearer they understand your suggestion, the easier it is for them to follow it through. So
Another
yeah,
bad one I
yeah,
remember as well was using somebody else's PA system, which I do not like doing. And I say to anybody now, if you can, don't do it because
yeah,
it's. I spoke to the organizer and they said, yeah, they spoke to the venue and it's a A1 Pro system. It's this, that, and the other.
yeah.
Oh,
It's one thing
communication, lack of nothing.
yeah. I always take a sound system with me, even if I know I've been told there is one,
That's it.
just because I know that
In the boot
mine's
of the car,
good.
leave it there. Is it
Yeah.
okay? Yep, fine. It can stay there. Yeah.
If I get booked for a wedding, and I'm cheeky when I do this, but with weddings for me, it's in and out. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be there all night. It's in and out. Now I know if I go up to the DJ and say, "Can I plug my mixer and my microphone into your sound system?" He's gonna go no, because he's there at the beginning of the night and he's the last one to leave, and he's probably being paid the least amount of money. I also know that if I ask him the same question in front of the bride or groom, he'll say yes.
Of course you
And
will.
so I can get to plug in, do the show, and get straight out. So that's a tip from the stage there. You mentioned working in London. I can imagine that brings with it itself lots of challenges. There's some great venues in London, there's some great corporate work in London. Tell us about that.
I'm not going to lie. Majority of my work is not in London.
Ah,
And that has been the case since, year dot doing this.
yeah,
And I actually specifically moved to the outskirts of London to be near London because I assumed all the work would be in, I got rolling. I moved as things were rolling. It was good. And I was doing the shows, had the proper website, looking professional, etc. And it didn't land. All mine are Wales or
mm,
always Birmingham or somewhere in between. It's always never local. When I get a London booking, oh, lovely.
yeah, yeah. I
When?
must admit,
Yes.
it's very rare I work local. Everything else seems to be 4 hours away.
Yeah, that's it. Average this time is 4 hours to
Yeah,
wherever it is. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
I'm lucky that
London,
I
give me
live,
one. That's it,
yeah,
please.
yeah. I'm lucky I live just on the kind of the cross between the M1 and the M62, which kind of puts me anywhere within that time frame. But I think to be a hypnotist in the UK, you've got to enjoy spending your time on the motorways and stuck in traffic.
But yeah, there have been a few nice London hotels, plush, whatever. But I can't say that. Oh yeah, you do these big hotels all the time. No, it's it can be a ball ache with the traffic going in if it's on a Saturday
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
So what I do is I hate being late because the pressure then is on you and not anything else. And so I just leave really, really, really early. And I'd rather be there a couple of hours early
yeah,
and have a sandwich in the car, whatever, and do whatever on the phone. And there's always things that can be done. I'm very busy with other things as well. So
yeah.
um,
It's
way,
so
way early.
important that
I've been caught
that
out
take into
nearly.
account the travel time and anything that could happen along the way. So yeah. So what's new with you? The pandemic happened, the world stopped. Um, did Chris pivot? What did you do?
I changed my other work and I used to do it as a hobby as such, and now it is basically a boxing journalist. But I run a website, and it's probably now Europe's busiest boxing website. And it came out of lockdown.
Cool.
6K people. It's about 150, 160K visitors per month. So if you like boxing, I can give you the address. But yeah, it's very good, and
Yeah, absolutely.
it's going up all the time. Bearing in mind it's only been a year and a half. I mean, some websites don't even register on Google till about 8 months. So, but the website is on 150 pound hosting a month. It's super quick. It's got premium everything. This is why I've and another thing, the actual website has got, wait for it, 171,000 pages to it. Long story.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Every single page I've got on the website, bearing in mind I post about, on average, say 18 posts a day, goes out individually in 104 different languages onto Google. So if you
Wow.
times, let's say the website's got 4,000 pages on there, times that by 104, and that will come to, it's actually more than 171,000, but that's the ones that Google have picked up because it's on like catch up all the time. So there's
Wow.
massive information in different languages, but no, it's good. So this is why now I'm with the entertainment side of things. I'm just pulling back slightly so I can actually, and it's good because I can now choose which ones I want to do. Because I used to be very much, being fair, I'm not getting any younger, and running around, two days a week, 3 days, silly clock time. No, I don't know
Yeah.
how old you are. I'm 52. So it's just slowing down a bit, and instead of just doing any gig anywhere, as long as they pay the right fee, which it was,
Yeah.
I'd do the local Dog and Duck, and I've done the Queen's Guards in the side of Buckingham Palace. And as you mentioned earlier, all the celebs and all the pictures which are on the website. Done all that, but just want to, just choose the good ones,
Yeah.
not just the
It's
gimmies, but
No, no, you're absolutely right. It's one of the things that the pandemic taught me. I was a diehard performer. Do you know what I mean? Didn't really do much of the therapy stuff. I was just a performer, because you could turn up, do your thing, and then bugger off and get paid. It was brilliant. But then the pandemic kind of changes things for you a little bit, and it does help you put things in perspective. And like you said, it's about
it did.
spending time with yourself, with your family, about what's important. One of the things I noticed you do as well is, and I know there was some controversy about this because it's like stage hypnosis training should be really expensive, but you do I've actually got a link to it here somewhere. Let me find it. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Stage hypnosis training. Or it's like everything on a USB for, is it $45, £45?
Changes all the time. You can have it on access on Dropbox. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah, access
that's
and
easy.
Dropbox, yeah. Which is brilliant. So is that a collection of videos and stuff over the years? Tell us a little bit about that.
It is just training where it was not many demonstrations, or there is just a basic induction. Actually, no, there's different inductions shown, but as far as that, it is me stood there, rabbiting on, going through, and is more on the psychology, how I see it, as
Yeah,
opposed to hypnosis, which is, because to me, it is, stage hypnosis is different to therapy. And if
yeah,
you think of okay, we call it the hypnotherapy, sorry, hypnosis induction. Okay, you've got the hypnosis induction and you've got traditional hypnosis. That to me, if you've got 10 volunteers, is only working probably with 3 of them.
hmm,
And I looked into, and this is the thing I was doing with a lot of my shows, is that I'd come away, because I'm a very curious person, and I think, well, why did that work with that person and that one didn't? Why were they good? Why were they not so good?
yeah,
Lots of questions, and I'd always cross-reference it with how I felt when I was hypnotized myself back in Ibiza all those years ago. And I come to the conclusion that, hold on a second, the people that go into it, because they're not mucking about consciously, because if I see anyone mucking about, I don't want them up there because, as much as some
exactly.
people might like that, no, because as far as I'm concerned, is that if the audience can see that they are conscious and just mucking about, then that's going to devalue the whole thing, the ones that are maybe in traditional hypnosis as we know it. To me, it is a state of mind with the subconscious, as in you get to the back of the subconscious. And as far as I can explain this very quickly, instead of being open to suggestion with bypassing, conscious analysis and all the rest of it, personally, the subconscious picks up the information. It's because it is, as we all know all the time, it's there running all the time. It's looking at everything. It's evaluating everything and making subconscious decisions. The way I do it is everything I do from the word go is making sure every word I say, the subconscious is grabbing hold of that.
Hmm,
So when they go to make a conscious decision to maybe not be in the show or something, the subconscious at that point is going to override that conscious thought of getting off, and they are stuck because the subconscious goes at that point and they're in it's in the mindset that staying up there is better than actually getting off the stage.
Yeah.
And long story cut short, it's very difficult because I've never had to explain it quickly. I just work on the subconscious to get them to keep them there,
Yeah.
and to do it, as opposed to getting off because it could be easy to do it because you don't want to do it, or hopefully that makes some kind of sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is why,
It makes it easier for them to stay on stage and perform than to leave and not perform.
yeah, and that is the part of it with the way I work, is that's what I've gone for. Because
Yeah.
I know that's going on. And if, how I see it is, if you've got 10 people up there and they're reacting to the suggestions given, you've probably got, I mean, there's no way of putting the exact figures, but you might have 3 in traditional hypnosis because you have done a traditional formal induction to take them into it, all very nicely. You've probably got 4 of them, 5 of them with what I've just explained to you, and you've probably got 2 of them, which I call sometimes just the others. They could be just a natural somnambulist that as soon as you do anything remotely near hypnosis, or if you just say to them relax, they would just go into that state very
Yeah.
quickly, naturally, and quickly anyway. And at that point, naturally open to suggestion, blah blah blah. But they haven't gone through the classic induction of getting into there, because they've gone way ahead and probably at the end of the lineup and dribbling way before anything else has happened. So it's, but that side how I work personally, as opposed to doing the traditional hypnosis, as much as I do that, but I really do play on getting that subconscious alert, following exactly what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and getting the subconscious to override the conscious with, not to leave the stage, as we discussed.
Yeah.
That is what I play on, because
Mm.
yeah, it's a long story. It's difficult to cut it short. I'm just trying to think, how
Yeah.
do I,
Cool.
otherwise we'd be here in an hour's time, if that.
Yeah.
No, that's how I work. That's what I play on. But I do go through the traditional process as well, because
Yeah.
of there will be 3 or 4 or 2 that will be in that state. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to go through that process anyway. So it appears that you are actually doing a stage hypnotist show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're just talking to people and doing the things that you want to do to trap them as such, and you get them up here and just say close your eyes and you're doing these things, it's not going to look like it's going to look like they're playing, because
Yeah.
if you haven't gone through the process.
Yeah.
So I'd rather
You've got
do
to have
that
that
so it appears
ritual
to
element
them
at the
that
beginning.
is how you've done it. But where I've just embedded in the conversation into the overlong introduction, where everything's planted at that point. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you, by the time, as far as I'm concerned, the induction comes, how it works with me, by the time the induction comes, they've already gone anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All
Yes,
the work is done on that. Like you said, that extended
absolutely.
kind of
Pack it straight.
pre-thought.
All my work is done then,
Yeah.
and
Brilliant.
that is what I focus on.
It's really important what you said then as well. It's not working. It's not directly working with those, the 2 or 3 that are going to be brilliant, the 2 or 3 that are going to go into trance. It's working with those 4 or 5 in the middle that you
Yes.
can, like you said, capture and nurture into the show. As if you're just too direct, you lose those people too quickly. So
I
yeah,
don't
that's
want to rely on traditional hypnosis, because if they haven't followed what you said, then the process won't work.
yeah,
I'd
exactly.
rather do something that is a blanket that will work on all of them. But then again, if it hasn't worked with them, but then they call someone with hypnosis, it just means I get a better reaction out of 10 volunteers. I
Yeah,
get quite a good, with my hand induction. I like to think, early days when I used to do the hand clasp, used to probably get out of 10 people doing it, I would get 4, 5. I can get now 9 or 10 every single time, because I
nice.
get that level of cooperation subconsciously earlier on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just, but it took a long time for the penny to drop that is what happens, because any book that I bought, the one course I went on, and of course the 13.5 grand that I spent on all the other courses to show you that if you do ABC, hypnosis happens and XYZ will happen.
yeah,
What if it doesn't?
yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah,
So that's why I focused on it, and that is it's not a secret, but that is how I've worked well over the years and had better shows than not so better shows, but I
yeah.
still have had those hard ones. Absolutely.
You mentioned about getting hypnotized in Ibiza. Do you remember the hypnotist who did it?
No,
Oh,
I wish I could. I've got a picture of me flat on my back, like everyone else. Yeah, weird experience. It's the only time I've ever been hypnotized on a stage.
yeah,
And I just remember, and it's the thing that got me thinking actually, because I remember being up there, head down, and I just thought to myself, okay, I've had enough of this now. Don't want to be doing this. And as soon as this sketch finishes, I'm walking off. So, okay, and then okay, gotta get off, and I just didn't,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen. And before you know it, you're in the next sketch. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I'm
Yeah.
gonna get off, and it didn't. Something. So come away from that, and then you start doing it, and then just trying
Yeah.
to work out. Yeah,
And I think that gives you such a deeper understanding of what's going on stage with your volunteers. I always say to people, you know, you get a lot of currently there's a lot of therapists that are wanting to learn stage stuff. And it's like, well, have you seen a stage hypnosis show? Well, no, just some stuff on YouTube. It's like, go see a show, go watch a show, go watch 3 shows, volunteer for a show, experience it, and then learn it. Don't learn it first, because it's once you've experienced it, like you said, then you go through that process, you know that that's what's in the mind of the volunteer. So you can deliver your suggestions with that in mind. So, yeah,
and the
absolutely.
biggest thing I learned from doing all of that was 13.5 grand was a waste of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of training and books, etc., I always ask guests this. I do it for the sole purpose of just putting an Amazon Associates link up in the descriptions later on. If you were to recommend 2 hypnosis books, now they're not necessarily about performance, it may be books that have helped improve your business, stage presence, or anything like that. But if you were to recommend 2 stage hypnosis books, what would they be?
The one that I found very good back then was can't remember the name of it, but it was Jeffrey Ronning who does I can't remember. This is all too long ago. Jeffrey Ronning, Ronning. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Good book. It's very much one of those sort of products books that sort of does what it says on the tin.
yeah,
Covers everything. It's good, and it doesn't cover as we explained everything earlier with the subconscious reacting and not doing the inductions, etc. But it covers the inductions. It covers that side of it very well.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the
the
rest of
literary
it to
code
get.
just says Guide to Modern Stage Hypnosis. Yep, absolutely right.
Thank
And
you,
you
Richard.
should see the price of that book on Amazon at the moment. It is ridiculous. Very
Yeah,
expensive. I
it
think
was
because
about 30 pounds, if I remember right.
have a look, and if you've got a copy, you might want to put it up on there. I think because
Jeepers.
it's not been reprinted. The value of the book, the last time I looked, was quite good, to be fair. So yeah, um, and there is a link going up in the comment section as well, to all the previous suggestions of books from other guests as well. So if that's one book, what would another one be?
Well, okay, for the wrong reasons, Orman McGill, the old book, only because I love all the classic hypnosis stuff. I love all
Yeah,
the 50s pictures and how it was perceived back then, because especially with people, obviously with YouTube and everything else, it's not been debunked, but it's viewed differently now than it was then. Back then, it was all like appear to be mind control and all this, that, and
yeah,
the other, and all the black and white pictures and the swells. I love all that. It interests me, especially even going back further to the turn of the century. All that kind of stuff was great. Ormond Gill, it's a classic. I can't
yeah.
remember the name of it again. Another big, thick one. I'm sure is
That's the
equally
New
expensive.
Encyclopedia of Stage
Yeah,
Hypnosis.
that's the one.
Yeah, great,
Just a
great
great
book.
does what it says on the tin. It's like an industry standard as far
Yeah,
as I'm concerned.
yeah.
That's one way of putting it.
And if you can't hypnotize them after reading the book, you can use the book to hit them on the head, and that will put them under.
Absolutely. Yep. Saves you getting up the mallet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed that you do or did that's quite great as well is
Go on.
your stage wear was always fantastic. I, for one, have a velvet jacket in some of my
Oh,
shows. I do as well, and you had some fantastic. And again, you're a fan of the double collar shirts back in the day as well. How important is stage wear to you?
now I started wearing those velvet jackets. God, that was like about 98 or something. I don't know where I got the idea from doing it. I don't know if I've seen anybody. I don't think so. I don't know. It just the old smoking jackets. Love them. And
Yeah,
the funny thing is that okay, I'm going to admit to this is as much as it's a little bit. The big collars that I had, that I bought really big ones, and I bought a number of them, every different color that they did. I still got them,
yeah,
and as long as I haven't eaten or drunk too much, I could still fit into them all these years later, and they haven't been eaten by moss yet.
brilliant,
I'm sure they would disintegrate, but the shirts that if I do dress up that way now, the shirts are the original ones.
fantastic, nice one.
Don't know whether I should
So
have said that, but
if you to give yourself or a younger version of you that was starting out in stage hypnosis now, if you were to give yourself one piece of advice, one golden nugget, as we like to call it, what would it be?
First off, don't spend 13.5 grand. Second thing is go and get yourself hypnotized. So, as in, go and volunteer at a show. If you don't succeed, being hypnotized, do it until you are, so you can experience it.
Yeah,
Experience it a second time, because that was always what I would cross-reference with what happened when I did a show.
yeah,
I'd come away with that 4-hour journey back that you'd always have. No music, there'd be silence, and I'd just be tick, 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 tick with why was that person good? Why were they put? Why was that the star of the show? Why? And I'd always cross-reference that with. Do excuse me, by the way, I had 4.5 hours sleep last night, so I'm very skitsy
oh,
all over the place. I'd always cross-reference that with how I felt and why I did and reacted the way I did, because
mm,
that was not how I thought you were meant to be if you were as such traditionally hypnotized. Fully aware, yeah, I know you're fully aware, but I just wanted to get off.
yeah,
And I didn't have any overwhelming desire to do anything. I just had no actual physical conscious control of getting off. It's not the case of I couldn't. I'm getting off now. And the link within the brain just was not there.
yeah,
And when
yeah,
I come away from that, this is what I looked into. What the hell was that? Um, yeah, so the younger version of me, go and get yourself done in a show, and based on that, go and do it 2, 3 times. And if you
yeah.
feel different, the 2 or 3 occasions, work out why.
Great point you say there about doing it 2 or 3 times as well, because especially if you're studying hypnosis or hypnotherapy and you have a fascination of it, sometimes that can get in your way when
Yep,
you're volunteering because you want to watch the experience, the process, rather than just allowing yourself to go into it. So yeah, like you said, do it 2 or 3 times. That is a great piece of advice there.
it's not the same every time. So yeah, go and do it and work out for yourself. Read all the books and come to your own conclusion.
Yeah,
Why? And work on what works for you, because I'm sure we all work in a different way. As much as you've got the stereotypical things that we're going to all do, there's still going to be ways, which, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Where do you see finally? Where do you see the future of stage hypnosis going? Where do you think? Do you think it's going to have a comeback? Where do you see it in maybe 5 years' time?
5 years. Now, to me, it's becoming very saturated. The
Mm,
amount of names I check probably once every 6 months or something, and it's like, God, there's so many more people doing it. And bearing in mind, hearing some of the prices that people have quoted when you come through, you give your quote, and they've come back. Oh, I found out that I can get it for under half the price that you're doing. Can you move on that? It's, oh, Jesus Christ! That was because maybe it was a London one and no equipment. I've probably got them quite low anyway, and it wasn't a Saturday night. This is one example I'm thinking about. It was a Thursday. It was in London, no equipment needed, and it was an EV PA system as well, so there'd be no problem with sound.
nice.
And what I was told that somebody was quoted. Now, whether they were lying or not to just make me come down, I don't know, but
Yeah,
it seemed, which is the words right, it seemed that that was the case, and I was shocked. But that is the way it's gone a lot. I'd rather try and keep to the price. Okay, I haven't put my prices much up over the years, but I haven't gone down in competition with everybody else. All the
yeah,
time, there's just so many. Every 6 months, it's like there's. I don't know how you see it, but there's
yeah.
there's different names coming on.
There's
Back then, it was, oh, there's somebody new, but it'd
yeah.
be one.
I
Now
think
it's
because of
how
the
many?
because it's there's less of a barrier to training now. You don't have to spend 13 grand. There's less of a barrier to learn it, and it's so easy to set up a website so that someone does the training and then they finish the training and their website's up there and already they're a master hypnotist, already they're the world's best. And then they then need stage time, and so they're then going out and lowballing shows for whatever reason to get that stage time, and then we'll do maybe 1 or 2 shows a year, and because they work full time doing whatever else that they do, they don't kind of need the money to or they don't see the perceived value in that, so
It's a
they can
paid
go out
Saturday
cheap.
night for them. Yeah.
Yeah, So, which is, it's fine. It's just you have to work harder to differentiate between everybody else. But I suppose that's the same as if you were a singer. And
Oh,
I've worked with
absolutely. Yeah.
amazing singers, and then you see what they're getting paid. And for me, I always think singers and comedians are just absolute true talented artists
You can't
because
choose
I
at those
can't
two. You
sing
can't.
or tell jokes. And when I see what some of those people get paid, I kind of think, wow, that's amazing that you're willing to leave your house, travel for a couple of hours, set up a PA system, and do that for that price. But some people do it for the love of it rather than for the money. It's finding that balance, I suppose.
No, you're right. Going back to your original question, just about how you see it in 5 years, with what I said in mind, I think that more and more saturated. Yes, you're still going to get your regular bookings. We're always going to book you, and if somebody can see beyond a cheap booking and can see that you're professional and they're willing to pay for a professional show, you always still get the bookings. But it's just going to run thin, and run thinner. And at the same time, it's just YouTube all the time. And you hear, oh, stage hypnosis. It doesn't work that way. It's just people mucking about.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, bear in mind that's beaten around YouTube all the time. As much as it is not true, maybe there's some differences to how it is perceived. But with that in mind, I think that people a little bit when I talk about hypnosis with someone, I get questioned now more than say 20 years ago. Does it actually really work? Because I've seen on YouTube that it hasn't worked. The amount of times I've had that said to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that in mind, it'll probably dip away. It will all quieten down, and even the supposed debunking, etc. And then it probably have a revival. But it has done for many years anyway. It's gone in drips and
Yeah.
droves, and something else will bring it back. Whether
There's
it was
a
Paul
new thing
McKenna in the
starting on
90s and
is it a new thing on Netflix starting on the 27th of October in a couple of days' time called Hypnosis. I think it's called Hypnosis, which is a Netflix thriller /
yes,
horror using
I've seen that.
hypnosis.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, it's for the hypnotherapists out there, I can't wait to see the forums filled with this.
Yeah.
But it's very much it's a horror based on hypnosis. Some hypnotist hypnotizes girls into crashing cars, killing people, and all sorts of weird stuff. It looks like a fantastic
Oh
thing.
God.
But the weird thing is
but
for the hypnotherapist, it may cause issues. For the stage hypnotist, I think we'll do okay because it gets people talking about hypnosis. So the radio stations will be looking for guests to talk about hypnosis. This morning we'll be looking for guests to talk about hypnosis. It puts it back into the narrative, and hopefully the people that come forward to defend hypnosis are the right people and not the people that are just looking for the limelight and doing crazy stuff. So touch wood, it should be a good thing, but who knows? I know there's a new property program coming out soon, where it's people looking at selling their houses, I believe, but then they're hypnotized into seeing their house as if they've never seen it before. So to get them to
who's the
fall in love
hypnotist?
with their house again.
Who's the hypnotist? Do you know?
I believe I've seen a couple of people sharing it, but I think Christina Lennon is involved in it.
Okay.
So yeah, so that it should be an interesting show, and I think it's Phil and Kirsty that are involved in that as well. Oh, great point there, Brian Glenn. He says Harold Shipman did not put people off seeing their doctor.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I mean
You're aware of.
but I've
Yes.
defended it. But yeah, that's absolutely spot on. So yeah, brilliant comment, Brian.
I like that. That's
Yeah,
remember that. I'm going to remember that one.
That's going in the little black book that of one-liners to use.
But I think the worst thing that damaged, even if it didn't affect or did affect a little bit or whatever, but I think the most damaging things to hypnosis, and especially stage hypnosis, was I can't remember what it's called. It was a number of years ago, and you had that show on a Saturday night, and primetime TV. They were hypnotized and then doing challenges or something.
Yeah,
Right. You had the program, and then it comes out in the newspapers that they went through this, long process of they advertised for the people for the show, and you're going to be hypnotized. And from the 100 people, you had to go back there 4 times to effectively audition for it and re-audition and all the rest of it. And when they actually showed the people that were in it, and it said that oh, this person is a wannabe actor, this one was an actor, this is two and two to get two and two together, not quite four, but 4.5 unfortunately is close enough to damage stage hypnosis. And I had a lot of people come to me asking about that. I said, well,
I think because they try and make it too perfect because it's telly. I think for me, that I love the volunteers on stage, that the suggestion's gone in, they hear it, and then they struggle with it a little bit. In their mind, they like what you say. In their mind, they go, "Do you know what? I'm not going to do that." And then the trigger happens, and then you see them fight with it, and then just go into it. I think that's where the magic is with hypnosis. When they're too good, when it's too quick, when they're too out there, it looks too fake. There was a gentleman that I know that always volunteers at a show doing leads, and he's always the star of the show. He's one of he's one of the brilliant ones. The last time I performed at this venue, he's gone up, he's volunteered, he's been brilliant as usual, and afterwards he's gone, "I didn't think it would work tonight." He says, "Because I've done that audition for a program down in London that you're back in the room, and we had to go through this process, and they said that I couldn't be hypnotized enough to get to a level that was good." And I thought, you're the most hypnotizable person in all my years of doing hypnosis. You're the most hypnotized person I know. So if you weren't good enough to cut,
he just wasn't an actor.
Exactly.
Which
exactly.
is what
And
there was with each one of them. There was something. It was
Yeah.
wannabe actor, what actor is an actor.
Yeah.
And
I
that
think that's the
did. I
problem
remember
when they're looking
reading
for
that.
TV audiences and TV contestants now. That's where they look to. They look to the websites where all these people are listed and looking for work, looking for exposure. So yeah. So
And
yeah,
if
you're
that's
right. I
exposure
think
for them to get acting jobs, then I think about a different career, maybe.
exactly, exactly. Kris, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's been nice to finally get a chance to
Absolutely,
talk
it's
to you.
been a long time that I've because when did you come around?
Oh God, I think I'm coming up to 20 years now. So yeah, 2005.
Yes, that's the case. That's because if you would have said to me, "What year do you think it was?" I remember you coming on, and I thought, with that thing where you check the website. Oh, another one,
Yeah,
Grant. Good
yeah,
to see that you stuck with it because there's a few which have come along and sort of disappeared.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah. It's a weird one. I mean, as with anything, it's about consistency, I suppose. You've got to keep going through the bad shows and just keep plodding on, really.
and just remember that sometimes not bad. It's that good old thing. Oh, thank you so much. Great night. Another one I could think of just comes into mind. I was thinking, my God, I just want to get out of here. This is not so good. I had to keep it safe because the numbers come down. The organizer was like somebody high on God knows what. And he just comes over. What a happy bunny. And I just said to my friend, okay, whatever. Yeah, stick with it. You just got to plow
Yeah.
forward, and it's not as bad as maybe you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Kris, thank you very much for
No
joining us
problem.
tonight.
Pleasure.
Do subscribe to Kris on his social channels as well. His website is on there as well, and we put a link up to the training and the Dropbox/USB drive he's got as well. Do share the love. Do connect with him on his social media. And guys, I shall see you next week on Grant Talks Funny Bits. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please do subscribe and hit that bell button as well. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, then get yourself over to YouTube and please like and subscribe. From me and from Kris, good night.